Good evening, everybody. It is Erotica Day. Yay! It is the International Great Black Read Aloud Day month for the month of February. And I'm so excited about everyone who has joined in, everybody who will before the end of the month. Thank you to Ladero Press for coming up with the idea that it would be, really nice for us to read out loud. It's not easy. Now, don't get me wrong. I've been doing it quite a few days this month, and you get to words that you don't understand and you kind of skip over them if you can so it still makes sense. But today I have the pleasure of reading from my own book, which is Eyeless Diamonds. Eyeless Diamonds has 1, 2, and 3. 4 I'm currently working on, and it should be finished in a couple of months. So I hope to have it done through Ladero Press, who is my new publishing company. So thank you very much. And 2 other people have joined in to read from Eyeless Diamonds. One was Angie B Productions. Thank you very much for doing it. And her sister, Sonia Bennett, who will be here later today to do her reading. So thank you both for finding it not robbery to read a little erotica. So I want to give you a little background on Isla. Isla is, she works for a company that has 3 initials. And so you have to read the book to find out what those 3 initials are. And she's been there quite a few years. And the book carries her through her training, her espionage, her love, her loss, murder, and it's pretty intense. It takes you on a roller coaster ride. So this particular portion that I'm reading is from one of her lovers has passed, and she has decided to go to the funeral. And anyway, we'll read from there. So, as I stood there looking in the mirror in the church bathroom, the tears in my eyes were streaming down my face. Rodney's wife entered. I wiped the tears from my eyes and greeted her in the normal, "I am so sorry for your loss." She cut me off. "How dare you show up at my husband's funeral like you are not the piece of shit silence that fell over my home every time he took a call on the patio, every time he left the house for hours with no destination, every time I paged him and he did not answer. I can't believe that the pink elephant in my life decided to show up at my husband's funeral. Excuse me, but I think you should be apologizing to me for fucking him throughout our entire marriage. Your condolences are not needed and certainly not necessary." So she stood there a minute. She put on new lipstick and left the bathroom. I wanted to grab that bitch by the back of her fake ponytail and tell her how madly in love I was with her husband and how he should have married me. But your cow ass got pregnant, and being an honorable man, he did the right thing and married your stupid ass. Instead, I stood in the mirror and cried even more because she was absolutely right. I never gave a shit about her or her child. All I wanted was his undivided attention and extreme loving. Nothing else mattered. I pulled myself together and decided I was going to be the piece of shit. I was going to act like a piece of shit. So I strutted to the front of the church and sat on the front row. She could hardly contain herself. I know she wanted to get up and ask me to leave, but I also knew she did not want that kind of confrontation in front of his coworkers, family, and friends. I sat there with my head high, my legs crossed, and made myself keep my seat when the minister asked if anyone would like to say a few words. The casket was a dark bronze, and the American flag was draped over the entire casket. A huge picture of Rodney stood by the easel. That was the first time I had witnessed a closed casket. The picture was really lifelike. It was hard for me to sit there with a stone face, but I got through the service. But just as I thought the service was over, in walks Donny Hathaway. He was a very handsome man. Strings had to be pulled to get him to sing at a private funeral. And then behind him walked in the general. That was the string. He walked to the mic, recognized the family, and began to sing, For All We Know. I got up and walked out of the service. It was torture for me to hear the song. I stood outside until the service was over and headed to my car when I saw the pastor and the family coming out of the church. His burial was held at Arlington Cemetery. As we took the drive from Washington, D.C., I could feel the heat of the tears on my face. I missed him so much. He had quickly become a part of my daily routine, and I did regret that he was following me when the accident happened. I felt my stomach turn and at the very thought of that night. I thought back to the night as I waited at that stoplight and he never came. I slowly traveled to my apartment knowing that Rodney would catch up and run me up the steps as I tried desperately to put my keys in the door, and he would place his hand down my pants or up my dress and kiss me deeply before we entered the apartment. Taps had begun to play and the jets were crossing the sky. I could not take any more. I walked slowly to my car. Standing in front of a black limousine was a distinguished gentleman. He looked very familiar, but I was not about to flirt with anybody at Rodney's funeral. But I must admit, it crossed my mind. Sometimes I could be such a strumpet. I lowered my eyes, but did acknowledge him and walked to my car. I heard footsteps behind me, but I thought others are leaving, so, it could be anybody. I placed the key in the door when there was a tap on my shoulder. Excuse me, Isla, he said. Please take this envelope and follow the instructions to the letter. I placed the envelope under my arm, watched him walk away. Where in the hell had I seen this man before? So that's a portion of Eyeless Diamonds 2. I do hope that you will join us in the next couple of days on the International Great Black Read Aloud Day. You can get copies of Eyeless Diamonds 1, 2, and 3 at www.donnamgraybanks.net. And thank you very much for joining us. Have a nice evening. Good night.